Okay, welcome back everyone. We're going to be looking a little bit deeper now at skeletal muscle. Now remember, when we talk about muscles, we know that muscles attach to bones. And what is the structure that connects a muscle to a bone? What connects a muscle to a bone is called a tendon. Now, the specific part of the bone where tendons attach to the covering of the bone. And you remember when we covered osteology, the external part of the bone was called the periosteum. So muscles attach to bones by way of tendons. The part of the bone that the muscle attaches to is called the periosteum. Now, there are other parts of muscle that we need to become familiar with. So one of them, we're going to look at the muscle fiber or the muscle cell. We need to be familiar with the endomysium, the perimysium, and the epimysium. Okay? And the way these work, let's see if I could draw it out. So let's say these are all individual fibers, muscle fibers, okay? Now, let's see if I can change the pen color. We'll change it to red here. We'll change it to yellow. So this yellow going around these are the endomysium. Okay, so we have an endomysium going around these. Now, I can have these surrounded by a perimysium. Okay, and this is also referred to as a fascicle. Okay, then I can have something going around. Let me change the color once again. Let's change it to red. And now that one is the epimysium. Okay, so we had an endomysium on the inside, and then external to that, we had a perimysium, and all the way on the outside was the epimysium. Okay, let's take a look again from a different type of cross section, but we see here we have the endomysium, and then we have a bunch of those. That's called a fascicle, but the fascicles are surrounded by the perimysium, so these two go together. And then surrounding all of those is the epimysium. And again, from a cross section in the other view, here's the endomysium. You can see that line pointing all the way into those small cells. And then we have the perimysium, which is surrounding a bunch of those, which would be like this. And then we have the epimysium surrounding all of those fascicles or all those clusters of perimysium, right? Another name of this is a fascicle, but what surrounds it is the perimysium, okay? Okay, so this just kind of reiterates what we said. Each muscle fiber is surrounded by an endomysium. A group of those 10 to 100 muscle fibers is surrounded by a perimysium. That's called a fascicle. And then a bunch of those fascicles is surrounded by an epimysium, and that's going to make the actual skeletal muscle. Now, the endomysium, the perimysium, and the epimysium extend through the muscle, and they join at the very end, forming the tendon. Remember, the tendon is going to attach to the periosteum of the bone. And when it does, one of those tendons is going to be referred to as the origin, and the other will be the insertion. When you have a broad, flat tendon, that's called an aponeurosis. A broad, flat tendon is an aponeurosis. And just to give you a few examples, if you look at the latissimus dorsi, the origin of it is a broad, flat tendon, and it's called a thoracolumbar aponeurosis. The lats, or the latissimus dorsi, has a very, very broad and flat origin off the lower 6 thoracic vertebrae, all of the lumbar vertebrae, and the sacrum and pelvis. So they call it the thoracolumbar aponeurosis. Fascia, on the other hand, fascia is a soft tissue type of structure that is going to surround everything in the body, not just muscles. It's going to surround your organs, your blood vessels, and nerves. Fascia has a problematic feature to it. It's highly adaptive to the position that it's held in. So to give you an example, clinically, if someone breaks their clavicle or they break their humerus and their arm is held in a sling, what ends up happening is that the arm is kept in this flexed position for 4, 5, or 6 weeks. And when the biceps is in a flexed, shortened position, once the cast is removed, the arm does not extend fully because it highly adapted, the fascia highly adapted to the shortened position of the flexion. And it takes a while through neuromuscular re-education and some therapy to help elongate that. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about the neuromuscular junction.